Hey, great day, everyone. What I want to talk about today was your business relationship management within your IT organization. This is something that's done very differently from very different groups. You have to see if it's going to work for you, but it's also not very well understood within the industry itself. According to CIO magazine, a BRM is a role that acts as a liaison between IT and other business units in the organization. Yeah, that's good. It is what it is. It's a role, but it really doesn't say what the purpose of that role is, except for liaisoning. But what does liaisoning really mean? What level do you get to? BRMI, however, that's Business Relationship Manager Institute, states that it's a capability designed to stimulate, surface, and shape business demand across all functions and ensure that potential business value from satisfying that demand is captured, optimized, and recognized. That last piece should sound familiar. It is a very value-focused IT type of organization that is saying, or capability for what you would do within that sort of organization. It's also a very enterprise architect type of thought process, so it's not too hard for you to get that. For me, it's a capability more than a role. But you got to be careful. First of all, BRMs as a role is very attractive, but you got to make sure that it'll work within your organization. A lot of times you could have disconnects within your own organization, your own IT organization, where the BRMs and the functional leads and the demand managers all are not on the same page. If your BRM is seen as just making new demands all the time and everything's changing because the business wants it, you may have pushback from your functional leads who are trying to go against this roadmap that they've produced, or your demand manager who's planning out 3 to 6 months ahead. Sometimes as a role, it only becomes strategic. Your BRMs will be talking only to the senior executives, the vice presidents. And there's a challenge there that a lot of quick wins and a lot of real problems are not going to be known by that vice president and will only be known over time when they become a real problem. It's not proactive enough, in other words, is what I'm saying. You have to make your BRM role go throughout all the entire organizations in which you're supporting. So BRM as a capability opens up a different world. IT can focus on value creation at every level within your organization so that you're not worried about just one or a few people taking care of this role. You have everybody from the people that are on the support desk all the way to your business analysts considering value creation at every level. This isn't to say you won't need a director of business management or a business relationship manager, but it's not one person doing it, it's throughout your organization. Doing this as a capability builds up a customer-focused mentality. Very important, again, like what I'm saying, if you can get all your people doing this, this becomes a much better approach for them to be customer-focused. Lastly, IT can help at a much more lower level. This is the counterpoint to what I was saying at the strategic level. Your conversations with the business should be occurring at the senior level, of course, for strategic stuff, but should be going all the way down to the lowest level. I'll give you an example. In one of my last companies, we had the vice president of sales and marketing who we were having conversations with all the time. But he wasn't aware that it took 45 minutes to an hour and a half for a quote to be created. This was only known because we had people shadowing the CSRs at that level and understood that. By knowing that, we were able to work with them, and it became a very quick win to help them reduce that time significantly. And we did it before it became a problem that had the visibility of the vice president. So that's a very, very good thing. Now consider that and across your IT organization. If within your manufacturing organization, you're working with them and realize there are some problems that they could have earlier visibility to from the data that you have, you could do it and give it then. It's a very, very good thing to find a lot of quick wins, and though you have to control the demand and how you manage it, it can be very, very good to get you to a truly proactive IT organization. So BRM role and the capability are very important. You've just got to make sure that it works within your organization, because one of the cautions you have to worry about is the BRM organization has to be able to work with the people within your business. If your business is very disconnected and people don't work together. For example, in one of my other companies I was at, I was in charge of the BRM over the sales and marketing. When I was in that role, I had to try to get all these people together, and the salespeople didn't care about the marketing people. Marketing people didn't care about the salespeople. They didn't want to get together at all at the same time. They only wanted to be involved when it was about them and their issue. And they didn't even care about the global side. They only cared about them individually. So the sales lead in EMEA only cared about sales in EMEA. He didn't care what was happening in the US. It becomes very challenging. And this is where it becomes that you have to do these things at a much more deeper level and working with people at sometimes in real life. One issue I'll bring up is that I had conversations with one of my members was the executive senior vice president of sales marketing. And we were on a call. It got very, very challenging. And what happened was it got back to my CIO that I was being very argumentative. Well, it wasn't me. It was his own people that were arguing with him on the phone. I was keeping back and trying to just manage things so that everyone's view was getting put out at the table. And either he didn't recognize my voice and thought I wasn't the same person who was actually arguing with him, or he didn't like that I was trying to be even-handed across the organization, which is what PRM has to be to a certain extent. So you got to be careful, and have to be careful about the approach and how you use and the technology you have to use. In the case that I was describing before, I would never do that role again using just telephone conferences. I'd use video conferences, mainly so that everyone can see who's there and try to make sure everyone's doing it. And I'd also use some of the lean tools, because if you use lean tools and get people together, you may also have a lot better impact, and everyone will feel they're more of one team as opposed to separate people trying to address their own problems, and that this is a stumbling block to that. So anyway, consider your BRM function, see what would work within your organization. It's a very important capability that you want to build out, and you have to see where it will build out. Is it a role, or is it something you could build within all your people? Thanks. Have a great day.